years after suddenly losing his sight, director Adam Morse made the film Lucid, starring Billy Zane and Sadie Frost, which will be released digitally next month.
Well, many of the cast and crew were completely unaware of Adam's blindness until filming was underway. Well, joining us now is actor and star of Lucid, Billy Zane, and director Adam Morse. Good morning to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate you being with us. And Billy, let's come to you first of all, because, I mean, we'll talk about the film in just a moment, because it's a fascinating story. I'm really interested in the premise behind this one as well. But first of all, this situation with Adam and his sight. So you were filming with Adam directing, and you didn't know that he had this visual impairment.
Clearly, he's a better actor than I or anyone else on the film. No, it was amazing. I had no idea, but although it was quite curious as to why he stood so close to the monitor. You know, we nicknamed him IMAX because, you know, we had no idea. What's with the... It was an extraordinarily large monitor as well. But the proximity and the sheer size, there it is. Proximity and sheer size was a bit of a head scratch, but I had countless conversations with Adam where he looked me dead in the eye and navigated the furniture like a champion. So I had no idea. I was completely clueless.
Yeah. So you just sort of thought maybe he was analysing every single detail of exactly what was going on.
I loved his attention to detail.
Yeah, very good.
Oh my God, this guy's looking at the hairs on my chest. I mean, it's a continuity nightmare. I mean, why, Adam? I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, your story in itself is an amazing story, and I think we kind of need to see that movie made one day. But, I mean, why did you decide to keep it a secret from Billy and the rest of the cast and some of the crew as well?
Nice to virtually meet you both, Charlotte, Adil. Billy, can't see you, but I can feel you.
Aww.
It's great to be with you. I always find Zoom and this kind of thing so weird because I'm like in a fish tank. I mean, you guys can see me, I can't see you. This from this far away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I didn't want to let my condition be a part of the conversation because I had negative experiences pitching the movie initially. When I was first out trying to get the film off the ground, it always shut down the conversation. And, you know, that discrimination just put a lot of fear in me. And you know, it's just purely, I think, because there's not that many reference points out there of other credible film directors with, you know, visual impairments or registered blind. So I knew that the only way that I could make this movie, really, and maybe change the way people think is to do my job first, deliver the film, and then be open about my condition and hopefully lead by example so that I could be a reference point.
So you do have some sight then, obviously. So if you get close up to the screen, you can still see some, you know, you can still see.
I have, some partial peripheral sight, yes.
Right, OK.
Which is enough for me to do my job as a director if I'm close enough to my monitor and use that partial peripheral sight. But like I always say, it's about what's in my mind's eye. Yeah. And I think that's the same for any film director, is translating what's in their mind's eye. And as long as you can communicate that to your team and your collaborators, then, you know, that's what it's about. You know, it's a team effort, really.
It must have been a huge shock when you lost your sight. And, you know, I know you wanted to be a director and you were determined that that wasn't going to stop you from fulfilling your dream.
Well, actually, I didn't want to be a director. I always wanted to be an actor. And so it's funny, you know, Billy saying, you know, it was an act for me every day from 2009, you know, having to, looking to the lens here, having to fake eyeline. I know where I'm in a situation where I'm with someone, I'm present, I'm there, but trying to fit in every day, that's been an act ever since, you know. And I thought that if I could tell stories and be an entertainer, and that would be something that would make me happy, because it's always made me happy, and it's what I've always been passionate about, is telling stories and entertaining people. And so, yeah, in the beginning, I thought, okay, I want to make films as a vehicle for myself as an actor, but I'm still yet to cast myself. And I have to say, since, you know, making my first film, I've fallen in love with filmmaking, and I intend to make more movies, and I will.
Well, it's utterly inspiring. Billy, tell us about Lucid, then, the experience of being on set, and tell us about the film itself.
Well, just to add to Adam's comment, I mean, it's a strange thing. You have to be quite an empath and connect with people on many levels to be a good filmmaker and a good director. And while that may be a disability to some, the displacement of that energy into other modes of communication heightened his sensitivity, in my opinion. I think it made him excel beyond some of the directors I've worked with who had, the full capacity of their vision, but maybe not their inner sight. And I found the experience to be quite extraordinary, heightened even more so after the fact once we, knew, but then it became a non-issue. Anyway, the story, which he used lucid dreaming to actually craft. The story is about this young man named Zell, who's pretty spectrum, a kind of an Asperger's like character, who simply wants to have the confidence to engage in a conversation with a neighbor, a woman he fancies, and he happens to have another neighbor who is a dream specialist who I play, who is quite proficient in the ways of lucid dreaming, and agreed to take him on as a patient, protege of sorts. And I teach him that you can actually affect the world outside in waking life through your dream state, which he starts to engage. And this is something that Adam himself has applied in the crafting and actually writing of the script, and applies lucid dreaming throughout. I'd like to have him continue and speak a bit about that, because it's quite fascinating. The film is wonderful. I'm so proud of it, and I absolutely adore it. It was one of my favorite experiences and truly one of my favorite projects. But please share that process, because it's so fascinating, buddy.
Yeah, because Adam, you were really interested in how this dream therapy works, weren't you? It was something that you looked into yourself.
Yeah, bless you, Billy, for saying that, and yeah, I'm just really touched from what Billy's just said. Sorry. Yeah, the process of writing the film and indeed filming it was funny how it paralleled the story we were telling on set, because I was using lucid dreaming to develop the story in my mind, but also rehearse camera moves the night before. And it's amazing what you can do with your subconscious nocturnally. It can literally be a rehearsal room for you to do things, in practice for waking life. And so, yeah, I was, and also, Zell's experiences are largely my own. I wrote them, I had that same job that he has in the film, working in a parking lot or a car park, not for a members club, for a supermarket. Obviously, I embellished some things, but yeah, the process of lucid dreaming, I mean, the practice of it, I think it can be very therapeutic for anyone who's willing to give it a go. I mean, if you commit too hard and it becomes an obsession, like it did for me at one point when I was younger, it can be a little dangerous, and the line between dream and reality can begin to blur. So it does come with its hazards, but I think mostly it can be very therapeutic if used right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely fascinating film from that point of view. It wasn't anything that I knew anything about before. It's been a difficult few sort of weeks and months, what with coronavirus, with everything that's been going on. And Billy, I know that you've spoken about this, but I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about your dad, and he's not here anymore because of coronavirus, and that's a heartbreaking thing for any family to go through at the moment, a really difficult situation. I know that you'd spoken about him, you talked about him, and you also talked about this issue of people wearing face masks. It's something that we're talking about in the news today, because there's discussion about whether children should be wearing face masks in school, and you were putting out the message that you really wanted people to, protect their community.
Firstly, thank you for your kind thoughts on behalf of my family. Yes, I use I guess every opportunity to remind people of the imperative of that simple task. By all means, wear a mask and keep your distance. This is very real. Oh, there they are. And it's something that I feel we can all do, by maintaining a social contract, out of respect to others and respect to family members and others, family members, and respect to ourselves. It's our role as citizens of the world. So, yes, thanks for the reminder and the platform to remind others. By all means, please, indeed, wear a mask.
It's an important message, and I think coming from you, it'll be very welcome, I'm sure, by lots of people. Listen, we're running out of time, but very quickly, I wanted to mention, Billy, 'cause I'm excited by this. You have agreed to play Marlon Brando in a movie. I mean, it's always difficult, isn't it, playing another well-known figure, playing another actor, someone like Marlon Brando. Was that a difficult decision, or were you just a fan who thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for this?
No, it wasn't. I'm also producing the project, so it was something I had championed for a while. But unlike the usual biopics, which I'm never really a fan of, the cradle to grave story, you can never really tell someone's story in that time. This focuses on the activist that is Marlon Brando, who was really a trailblazer when it came to civil rights and indigenous rights, and in this case, environmental rights. He was really quite ahead of it while trying to make a closed-loop ecological green compound. No one was building green or thinking green in 1969. Marlon was. No one was, from the Hollywood community was sticking his neck out and marching with King. Marlon was, He really walked the walk. He gave 10% of his income to the NAACP and convinced Johnny Carson to give 1% live on the show. He was an amazing man, not only for his craft as an artist, but his fundamental empathy and equanimity. And he really stepped up. So this focuses on. It's quite funny, actually, the film. To be honest, it's a charming tell of a unique friendship between himself and Bernard Judge, whose memoirs the film is based on. It's called Waltzing with Brando. Bill Fishman wrote it and is directing it. And I'm doing a camera test with some of the molds that were actually used by his makeup artist, and he used for The Godfather in about, I think, 7 or 8 hours. I think I go in to try the jaw extender and the little nose putty to get that bridge, and we're trying on a few wigs just today.
And what about the voice? Have you been practicing the voice?
I have, but not from a point of view of, it's more like I'm letting it wash over me by way of osmosis.
Yeah.
So many people imitate him, and this is not it's not really going to be an imitation. It's something that I've just allowed and had the time to really understand the character from a very, almost in the way that he worked, if you know what I'm saying. So I approached it in a manner that seemed quite organic, if you would, and contrary to what you would imagine. He was an incredibly smart and learned and a voracious reader who appreciated acting, but it was not what made his, blood boil or was his passion. Wanting to create a center for great minds to gather to solve the world's ills and that's what he was trying to build. And it's interesting to be in the throes of such a tumultuous cycle yet again. So I think the movie will really be a tonic for the times, as is Lucid, which is really a roadmap for, young boys, broken or otherwise. I love this movie for that reason. It really, its triumph is simply to learn to have confidence and be a functioning member of society. And that is a miracle to me in modern cinema. I think it's such a achievable goal, an accessible one, and one that you feel as if, our character won a race like Far Lap, but it's really beautifully executed. So kudos to our director.